All right, so let's see. As you all know, we're gathering here today to have a conversation about a very important issue here on campus, the case of Victoria and Ihoma, who are facing deportation for working accidentally at Walmart, which violated the terms of their student visa. So we really appreciate people coming out today. It's important at this particular moment to keep the pressure up. And for that reason, of course, we're going to have a couple of folks come up here and speak about the political pressure that's taking place off campus, and also give you guys an idea about some of the folks that are involved in this project on campus, which is a lot of you right now. So I wanted to start off specifically and talk about a few facts about the case, as it seems that facts are becoming harder to come by these days. So a couple of ideas to keep in mind. Victoria and Ihoma have been students at the University of Regina from 2009 to 2012. And that's important to state and to say that that is the case. Victoria and Ihoma worked at Walmart in the summer of 2011 for approximately 2 weeks. They didn't realize that this violated the terms of their student permits on campus. They were allowed to work on campus and they weren't supposed to be using those off campus. Both students had work permits for campus. Their mistake, of course, was to take them off campus. And this type of minor infraction can have different punishments, which can include a $325 penalty, not deportation. And this is the issue that we're taking exception to here, is that that sanction is too severe for the infraction. I want to draw your attention up to the wall right now. 148 days in sanctuary is what we're looking at. Victoria and Favor went into sanctuary on June 18th of this summer and have been there since. And so that means now for going on 6 months, they haven't been out. And I think that that's really important, which means that they haven't been in their classes and haven't been part actively in the University of Regina community, which is what we want to have them do, is to come back to campus. So what the students did in June of 2012 was to seek sanctuary. They took themselves to a church and have been since trying to appeal to the federal ministers, Vic Taves and Jason Kenney. So they've sought sanctuary there and have been in hiding since with Canada-wide warrants. The University of Regina has supported the students since this case first started in 2011 and maintains that commitment on humanitarian and compassionate grounds. In addition, the sponsors of the student scholarship have agreed to continue that support when the matters are resolved with CBSA, which is also very important to note. Politicians from across the parties and jurisdictions have spoken publicly in support of the students, including MP Ralph Goodale, who will be speaking in a few moments. As well as MP Ginny Sims. MLA Bill Boyd. As well as MLA Cam Burton, who will also be speaking shortly. In addition to this support, there's a lot of national support coming in, and that's also important to note. I'd encourage you to reach out to your communities and ask people to sign on to national letters of support around this case. One that I'd like to draw your attention to is through the Canadian Federation of Students. They've authored a letter now also to the Honourable Jason Kenney, indicating their support around this case. I'm just going to read a very short passage. Copies of the letter are available for you over on the desk. In this letter from Adam Awad, it says, international students studying in Canada pay tuition fees that are as much as 3 times higher than those paid by domestic students. As a result, many international students are forced to work while they are studying. Under current regulations, international students holding a student visa can only work on campus and must apply for a separate work permit if they wish to work off campus. Unfortunately, this was not clear to Amadi and Ordu until it was too late. While their employer, Walmart, has not been punished for hiring practices, the students have been forced into sanctuary to avoid an unjust deportation. And that again is from CFS, and this has gone also forward to Ottawa. So maybe we can get a round of applause also for CFS local and national. So those are the facts of the case, and then there's of course the what should we do about the case, and there's a lot that we can do. As a lot of you know, there's been a relative amount of silence with regards to the federal ministers. What we would encourage you to do is continue to put pressure on Minister Kenney and Minister Taves. As is up on the wall there, Jason Kenney's phone number, you should feel free to call him directly, as is Vic Taves, feel free to give him a call as well. We've included their email addresses, and you can also get a hold of them on Twitter, which we've been doing for quite a little while now. So their information on Twitter is up there, as is Walmart's, which is an important part of this conversation as well. So we're asking Minister Toews to intervene on this case and to work with CBSA, the Canadian Border Services Agency, to provide a more just solution in this case. CBSA and select politicians have been quick to point out that the punishment for this type of infraction is deportation. But it is our understanding that there have been a number of options available to CBSA, including the first option, which would have been to give them a warning, not to arrest them. So, since the students were not aware that they should be working off campus, we have to ask a lot of important questions about Walmart and Walmart's role in this case. So, we can note here that an employer is eligible in the following ways. If they illegally employ a foreign national, they are liable for fines up to $50,000 and imprisonment for up to 2 years. And if there's evidence of misrepresentation on the part of that employer, the penalties are increased to $100,000 and 5 years. So we should ask, has Walmart paid a $50,000 fine if 2 students are going to be deported? And I'll direct you also to the wall. The phone number for the local Walmart is right there, 306-584-0061. We were there on Monday of last week and we were told they couldn't make a statement about the case. I think they should make a statement about the case. I don't know about you. That said, if Walmart made the honest mistake of hiring Victorian and Ihoma and not realizing they were on the student visas that they were on, and they did not face stiff sanctions, which it appears they have not, then we should ask the same consideration for our 2 students here at the University of Regina. The local Walmart doesn't want to speak about this case, so I thought that's fine, we'll go to the Walmart pages. Walmart encourages you to contact them via Facebook, via Twitter, as well as contacting local stores if you have an issue with regards to human resources or with regards to customer service. I think we have an issue with both, about labor. So what I'm going to do right now is turn the mic over to Liberal MP Ralph Goodale for his comments. Mr. Goodale, as you know, has been involved in this case for quite some time, including pressing Jason Kenney for a just action on this case. We thank him for joining us today and for the support he has lent. Warm welcome.
I don't like the altitude here, but I just want someplace to put that microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you all for being here. I'm glad to have this opportunity to be with you, but I'm even more happy that all of you are here because your involvement is absolutely critical. Your sustained interest in this case and engagement in this case is going to be extremely important to get a proper final resolution of it. So thank you very much for standing up for Victoria and Faber, and please keep on doing it. Before they were ordered deported, I met with these 2 young women as well as a number of other students and officials from the University of Regina last spring. And this fall, I began asking questions in the House of Commons because the situation, from my perspective, it did not pass the smell test. If they were, at all relevant times, properly registered as students at the University of Regina, and the university administration has been absolutely strong and clear about that key fact, that they were properly registered as students, and if their only offense was working for a couple of weeks at Walmart last year, and no one has alleged that there are any other facts than just those, that they worked for a couple of weeks at Walmart, then if those 2 things are true, properly registered students inadvertently, as an honest mistake, working for a couple of weeks at Walmart, then in my judgment, this deportation stuff is just way out of whack. The sanction being imposed by the federal government bears absolutely no proportion to the facts of this situation. It is, in my judgment, the arbitrary use and abuse of power and that is not consistent with Canadian democratic values. The minister says that this case should be handled administratively by officials, and those officials should be fair, impartial, and consistent in managing the law. But what is fair about deportation for a very minor infraction when the fact of deportation will in fact kill all their chances of an education and damage their lives permanently? It's in fact a kind of life sentence, and it is not fair in the circumstances of these cases. And what is consistent about deportation in these cases when in other similar circumstances other people have been given other sanctions like a warning or a fine? So I say to Minister Kenny, on those two counts, fairness and consistency, in fact, those two tests are not being met in these cases. Two other facts that need to be noted here. First, from all the evidence that I have seen, these two young women have been entirely cooperative and forthcoming after their infraction was discovered. They admitted their error as an honest mistake, and they tried to correct it immediately. There was no subterfuge. They have been entirely transparent. And that kind of conduct on their part should, in fact, function in their favor. They have not tried to hide what went on. And secondly, because they are here as international students on a scholarship from a foreign country, they are not imposing any cost burden on the government here in Canada. The cost is being borne elsewhere, and so the governments in Canada cannot claim that this is some inordinate expense. The expense that they've incurred has been imposed upon themselves by the government's heavy-handed and rather mindless approach to how to manage this case file. So the students are not responsible for any additional expense. Now, as we move forward, I think there are three things here that are absolutely vital. First of all, the University of Regina, the administration, the faculty, the staff, the students have to continue to be clear and strong in the crucial issue of these students having been properly registered as students at all material times up to the point of deportation, when of course the government of Canada blew everything to smithereens. But to that point in time, the university has been absolutely clear that they were properly students here at the University of Regina. That needs to continue. Number two, the province of Saskatchewan has to maintain its intervention in these matters in saying, as Minister Boyd has said, in response to a question in the legislature, which was very helpful, Minister Boyd saying very clearly that he does not see deportation as appropriate in these circumstances. He's right on that, and the government of Saskatchewan has to maintain that position. And then thirdly, we need all of you to stay active and vigilant and engaged and persistent. The government's tactic here, it's a common political tactic. The government's tactic is to wear you down and wear you out, to keep ragging the puck until you get bored with this issue. Keep dribbling out tidbits of disinformation that may muddy the waters and add a little prejudice here and there and some animosity over there to build a kind of subterranean case against these two young women. That's the tactic, to try to make the public get bored with the subject and say, you know, he said, she said, we better just kind of back away and not pay attention to this anymore. It is going to be up to you, the student body and the general public, to make sure that people don't lose interest in this case. They don't lose their enthusiasm. They don't get diverted or confused by the muddy waters, but you stay strong and clear in defense of Canadian democratic values and due process, and properly handling these cases in, as the minister says, a fair and consistent manner, and not a manner that is the arbitrary abuse of power. And we will continue to have other questions in the House of Commons as the days go by to keep the focus there as much as we can. Like, for example, what were sidearms and bulletproof vests doing in a raid on Luther College? That seems just a little bit out of proportion with the reality of university life. And secondly, was the government aware, or is it aware now, of any inducements that might have been offered to these young women by the very officials who were handling their cases? That also needs to be examined to see exactly what was said in those interrogation proceedings. The way this case has been handled is not what people would expect in this country. We all have to demand an awful lot better. And we all need to stay vigilant and vigorous on this case, these two cases, until we get a result that is consistent with the democratic values and traditions of this country. Thank you for being here.
Your comments on this, and also for consistently putting this back into the federal agenda. Really quickly, before we invite Cam to come up here as well, I just want to direct people's attention. Over in the corner, we have Send a Message of Hope to Victoria and Ihoma. We have Patricia Elliott over here from Journalism School, willing to record some testimonials if you'd like. Also, on the sheets in front of her on the table is if you just want to send some messages, some handwritten ideas. Over here, we kind of have the protest table. So this is a table where if you want to sign the postcards look like this. It says Stop UR Deportation on the front. And then the back is already written for you. It's sent to Minister Kenny or Minister Taves. All you need to do is fill out your name and your information. Postage is free. You can leave it for us and we'll send it, or you can send it yourself. I encourage you to grab a couple of these as well and give them to friends that might be inclined to fill them out. The petition is also over here as well. But one thing I think that's really important to say is, Victoria and Faber have been quite isolated now, obviously, for quite some time. And if you could take a few moments to share some of your thoughts with them, we'll make sure that they get this video footage either when they come out, hopefully very soon, or while they're still at the church, as well as any thoughts you want to share in writing. So with that said, I'd like to invite Cam Broden to come up also and share a couple of words. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to add my voice and the voice of our caucus, the official opposition here in the province, to this cause. And I recognize Trent, who's here, my colleague from the legislature as well. I want to thank all of you for the work that you're doing, for keeping this alive, as Mr. Goodale says. Thank you on the federal front for the MPs who have raised this. But most importantly, thank you to those of you in this room, whether you're friends or whether you were simply acquaintances of these women and felt that there was an injustice taking place. Thank you for keeping the pressure on, because that is in fact what we need to do. And what a wonderful idea to send the messages, and I'll certainly be stopping there on my way out as we head off to the legislature. Mr. Goodale did a fine job of explaining some of the chronology of the events and efforts at the federal level. But it's also important to remember that this is a provincial matter. The U of R is here in our province. These women came to our province, the place that we love, the place that we call home. And it's a question of fairness that will also stick with us as Saskatchewan people. And I know that's why you're here in this room, taking the time to make a difference. 2 weeks ago, in the question period in the legislature, we did ask about this issue. It was great to have representation from Ordu there in the assembly as well. Adding to the voice from the U of R administration, saying that what has happened here is not fair. It was an honest mistake, and we need to pursue a different course than what is unfolding. We're going to keep up the pressure on the provincial front. Some of the initial remarks from the minister were encouraging, that the punishment does not fit the honest mistake that was made. But we need to keep up that pressure. So today in question period, I'll be asking questions again, following up from what we asked 2 weeks ago, about what efforts are specifically being done, what stand is explicitly being taken, and what will occur. Will the provincial government choose to act or watch from the sidelines? So we're putting that pressure on the provincial front, keep up the pressure here on campus, and keep up the pressure in Ottawa, and hopefully we can have an outcome that is truly fair and represents the true Saskatchewan way. Thank you so much.
also for keeping us at the provincial level, keeping the pressure on. So that said, we're next going to turn to Anna Dickel, Ursu VP External, who's going to read a statement from Victoria? From Victoria that she wrote yesterday to share with you guys today.
This is straight from Victoria. Good day, everyone. I can't thank you enough for your enormous support on this case to ensure that the ministers pardon us and reinstate our study permit to enable us to stay in Canada and complete our programs. Life in sanctuary under this condition, with no freedom or friends to talk to, is neither healthy nor hearty, but a sad and depressing one. But thank you all for the support through your prayers, donations, clothes, food stuff, rallies, petitions, letters, etc. We are thankful each day for everyone fighting for us, even people we don't know. We believe this too shall pass and hope the ministers find it in their hearts to pardon us the same way they would do for their own children. Keep up the good works. I pray and believe everything will turn out positive in the end, and I'm not giving up yet because of you. On behalf of my family back home in Nigeria, praying for a positive change, and myself, we want to say a big thank you for your efforts and time spent supporting this cause. I can't wait to be among you all again, and most especially get back to classes as soon as possible. I am hopeful today because of God, and thankful to you, my heroes, for keeping this hope alive. May God, in His infinite mercies, grant your heart desires and bless you all accordingly. Amen. Victoria.
Okay, I think that's the last time I'm going to crawl up here. I just wanted to go ahead and kind of wrap things up. If you are interested in this issue, you can feel free to get a hold of SK Immigration Justice Network at Gmail. You can also just email me, Michelle.Stewart@Regina. I can give you the information. We really want to encourage people to actually join us in a march in a few moments. We're going to walk through campus and help get the word out. One of the things that's imperative about this case is A, setting the record straight, but B, also getting people aware of the issues. And what we have done in some other events is just walk around campus after and handed out information to give people more information about the case. Before we do that, though, I wanted to go ahead and thank the people that presented today, including Mr. Goodale and Mr. Broden, as well as Anna. So a quick round of applause for folks who presented. And to echo Cam Broden's comments, a really strong thank you to all the people that helped make this event possible and the people that are staying involved in this case. And that includes faculty and staff from campus, as well as students and community members. So a round of applause for everybody involved in this issue. So I want to thank you again for coming out to show you our support for Victoria and Ihoma. They've been in sanctuary since June 18th. We're going to keep this banner going until they're out of sanctuary, which means every day somebody's going to flip that number, and so when you walk through Riddell Centre, you'll remember every single day how many days they've been in sanctuary. We want to get them back by winter semester. So, quick round of applause on that idea. To make it very clear, we are calling on Minister Vic Taves to do the right thing and work with CBSA to allow these students to return to their classes. We hope Victoria and Ihoma are back on campus for winter semester, but for that to happen, we need to keep up the pressure. We need to keep up the pressure on campus, in the legislatures, and with our community, keeping this conversation going. Your support has been consistent on this case from the beginning. I encourage you to write a letter to the editor, to write a letter to a politician, to write a letter to an organization, and get more people on board. Public pressure is the most important component of this case right now. We need to continue to build our base of support, so reach out to your friends and family and ask anyone to take a moment and demand more just response in this case and demand justice for an honest mistake. Remember, supports are in place for these students to return to their classes. The administration is behind them, their scholarship will back them when they come back, and their faculty is eager to teach them once again. So, we want to get them back in classes. Let's plan to do so, and I encourage you to join us in a rally right now. Thank you again for coming out today.